Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. Sign up for a 1-week free trial, no credit card required, for access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hello everyone, checking in on the Canadian MJ space. Really nice 2 weeks here, and liked the setup longer term heading into 2 weeks ago. And suggest checking that video out. Let's check that date just in terms of a review. And that was back on the weekend of July 15th and 16th, where the setup was enough for me to look for initiation of those longer term positions, suggest entries to family and friends, and just want to go back and review what stood out technically on these charts to indicate these positions that obviously ended up being really nice timing in terms of the next leg to the upside continuing, as we've seen a bullish 2 weeks in a row. So also want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat room. We had a really good week in the sense that we were all over the continuation move to the upside. A lot of us had our positions this week, and we took profit on this profit-taking day on July 27th when things got really extended to the upside. And then at the snap of a finger, things turned around, and we saw a quick profit-taking and a quick turnaround. And actually notable was the direct correlation with the Canadian MJ sector and the United States Stock Exchange, the NYSE, the New York Stock Exchange. They dumped at the exact same time, and I watched SPY and Apple and Facebook and all these names tick for tick throughout the day as I'm giving coverage in the chat room, and there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that the correlation is present between these two markets, because you literally can line up the 5-minute charts, and the dump and the bounce was both at the exact same time. So I personally was not ready for that in terms of the correlation there. Certainly ready for profit taking as we took our profit after being extended to the upside, and we are going to be looking to reload on consolidation. But that correlation with the US market is very interesting, and going to be making note of it heading forward and seeing just how strong that correlation is. So starting with WEED, we have a lot of inside bars again on the daily time frame, and we've been playing these inside bars for multiple weeks, and they've been giving really nice signals. So the inside bar here on WEED support is 887 and resistance is 925. So if we get a break of 925 on Monday, that's a bull break, and we're looking up at 953 from there. We are still above the upper Bollinger Band. We've been in breakout mode for 5 days in a row now, and even with that consolidation, we did not break that support. So a couple things to note: volume climax signaling the temporary top. Also, the fact that we did not confirm that bearish reversal candlestick. So that was a great sign for the bulls. The fact that we did not see a red day on Friday, and I will be looking to re-enter some bullish positions if we do see bull breaks at these inside bars, indicating continuation. The volume has been very solid for these bulls, and it has been ever since we hit that bottom. So nice higher lows and higher highs. The big break here on WEED this week was 881. As soon as we broke that level, the next resistance was 9 psychological, and then really up at 920, 925. So we had some nice upside room, about 40 cents before we encountered any resistance, and you can see the bulls really easily move through this level due to that lack of resistance back on Wednesday. So bulls are still very strong. Short-term consolidation, and looking at the weekly time frame, now WEED is catching up to APH in terms of weekly strength. We're on the verge of a bullish MACD cross, increasing bull volume on the weekly, and now our higher low and higher high with all moving averages back as support. So it took an extra week for WEED to get there, but WEED was stronger than APH this week in terms of its move. So it was playing a bit of a laggard, playing catch up, but now they're very similar to each other with where they stand on these charts. So APH has an inside bar to be watching as well, and we had an inside bar signaling a bullish entry back on Monday. Look at that perfect ramp up in bull volume all week. So I re-entered my position after selling on July 18th, re-entered my position on Monday on the bull break. Didn't like the gap up, but could see that the bulls had strength, so entered there and then sold on Thursday with that volume climax signaling the top. And you can see the volume really small on Friday as we are in this consolidating range. So pretty much the same thing I just said for weed. We've got support at 633 and resistance at 654. If we break 654, we're looking up at 680. And if we break, let's go back and look at support. So if for WEED, if we break 887, I'm looking at 879, and then I would be looking somewhere around the 850 region for a higher low to form. It all depends on how much volume we get in showing consolidation. but I would be patient. If we get a bear break of these inside bars, that tells me take a step back, be more patient with your entry, and wait for some signals that the bulls are showing back up. So for APH, if we get a bear break of 633, we're looking at 627, and then the bulls have to form a higher low compared to 607, and that is to keep the higher low pattern on the daily time frame intact. So would be scouting an entry. That's what I call a potential bottom fishing play, where let's say we got a bear break. I would look to make an entry around maybe 610 to 613, around that range, and I would exit with a small loss if we broke 607, because that would tell me that momentum has shifted a bit and we are breaking the higher low pattern. That's a lot of what-if scenarios. Let's see how this inside bar breaks on Monday in terms of dictating the direction to start the week. Weekly time frame for APH is a potential bearish reversal inverted hammer here. And let's see the low compared to the close. We closed 22 cents above that low. And in terms of from the high, it was 31 cents. So technically it doesn't meet the definition of a bearish reversal inverted hammer, where the upper wick has to be twice the size of the real body. Not the case here, but it does show an upper wick of profit taking. So the bulls, you can see we got all moving averages as support last week, and we got the higher low and higher high 2 weeks ago. So you can see APH made these bull moves earlier, but WEED is now in the same spot on the weekly time frame. So looking a lot more bullish in that regard. If we break 680, we're looking up at 7 psychological, and you can see the high of May 1st, that week, 681 resistance, 680 resistance, hitting that previous resistance, and the bulls have to get over that to be looking up at 7 psychological. Let's see if WEED is hitting previous resistance, 934, and nope, we broke that level. So not the same setup there. ACB, bulls doing a great job of playing catch up here as well. They have a lot further to go because of the dilution that dropped the price down here, especially on this dump back in May and June. But these are really nice consolidation periods that we're going through. So right now, if we break 263, that's a bear break that says take a step back and wait for a new higher low to be established. And if the bulls break 274, we're looking up at 282 and then continuation. After 282, that's the highest price we've seen in the past 3 months. And on the weekly time frame, the next resistance is 283 and 290. So it is a bearish reversal candlestick here as well. It is an inverted hammer that's much more clearly an inverted hammer due to the size of the upper wick compared to the real body. And after such a strong move to the upside, keeping in mind we've gone from 208 up to 282, that is roughly a big move. Can't do that math in my head right now on the fly, but that's a significant move to the upside. So consolidation is due on this weekly time frame, and we will look to be forming a higher low. And if we do break that level on the daily time frame of 263, that would tell me that the odds of confirming this bearish reversal candlestick are a lot more likely, and we'd be looking for a higher low to form, perhaps on this middle Bollinger Band in the mid to upper 240s. So cautious on ACB and on APH, but at least APH, well, really on all three of these names, we all have daily, clear, tight channels to be watching, either the inside bars on the first two, or ACB has a little higher low, lower high tightening pattern on the daily time frame to be watching as well as volume drops off, and we'll see a clear break of that, if not Monday, then on Tuesday. EMC is seeing healthy consolidation as well. Support at this point is 195. Same thing. If that breaks, it tells me take a step back, be more patient, wait for a higher low to form compared to 171. In terms of resistance, we hit a top of 211. Bulls had really nice gains off of the lows here on on EMC, 150 all the way up to 211. So 35% plus, really significant, filling some gaps to the upside and trying to change this trend on the weekly time frame, but a very long way to go. We are nowhere near as bullish on EMC weekly time frame as the first three names we just looked at. So we are still going to set a lower high here on this bull move, and it will be up to the bulls to form a higher low on the weekly and then see a higher high, get the bullish MACD cross, get these moving averages back as support, and change this trend, because as of right now, it's still lower highs and lower lows. Even if this bounce goes up to 240, it's still a lower high, and we have to see higher lows and higher highs continue. So it's going to take longer term in terms of weeks, if not months, for these higher lows and higher highs to form to convince us that the trend has changed, because right now it is still a bearish trend, even with the strong move to the upside. Fire on the daily time frame, inside bar to be watching. Profit taking day, volume climax, trading more correlated to the big three at this point with that signal. Now we're looking for a break of 122 to be a bear break on Monday, and 125 is a bull break. So same thing here. The bulls are trying to recover from the sell the news reaction to getting the license, and we're still not back to those levels. 144 was the high that we hit on that reaction, and we got up to 132. So still a lot of work to do there as well, and the weekly chart shows us that. Just another lower high, and let's actually look at SPR WF again. And we can see just another lower high, rejecting from moving average resistance on the weekly time frame. 112 has to break. We just set a lower high at 106. And we have to break the lower high pattern and start forming higher lows and higher highs. We're coming right off of the low of the pullback, so the odds of breaking the downtrend and lower highs off of that low are unlikely. It's more likely we set a lower high, consolidate, have to form a higher low, and then that higher high to shift the trend. So both EMC and FIRE have not proven their weekly bull trend or the break of the bear trend shifting to a bull trend, while the big three have not had to do that because they've been bullish. They just got their higher low and higher high either 2 weeks ago or last week for showing that strength. Although ACB, compared to the other two big three, is not nearly as strong on the weekly time frame as well, due to the fact that we still have a couple lower highs to be watching. So in terms of ranking in overall strength, which is why I'm sticking with APH, WEED, and HMMJ for the more cautious, wanting to be more diversified, which we'll go over in just a minute, that's why I'm sticking with these names, because the weekly charts cannot be rivaled by any of these other names. They are the strongest. So weekly time frame, I already did it. Let's look at HMMJ to wrap it up. HMMJ, healthy consolidation on the daily time frame, trying to keep higher lows. Right now support is 906 and a higher low at 931. If we break 931, it means back off, wait for a higher low to be established. We have our higher low and higher high now on the daily time frame, shifting the trend. You can see the bullish MAC or the middle Bollinger Band was consolidating or declining. It leveled out and it's now ascending. And you can see that's the clear shift in the trend. The weekly time frame, the clear signal was our higher low and higher high. So we had our bounce off the low, just another lower high. There's our higher low and there's our higher high. So that's the exact kind of price action that I'm looking for on EMC and FIRE to prove that the bulls have regained control. So this is the first time where we've seen multiple green weeks in a row, 3 green weeks in a row. Nice follow through, bullish TCG cross of these exponential moving averages is occurring, and we have our higher low and higher high established now. So the next key resistance after 966 is 988, and we'll be looking for any consolidation to form higher lows and higher highs on this weekly time frame now as we do shift into the fall season, really late summer. This move is occurring a little bit sooner than I anticipated seasonally, but obviously I'm not going to let that stop me from getting into these bullish entries when the charts tell us that the trend is shifting, as is the momentum. So very curious to watch if the cyclical bullish action in the U.S. sector continues to heat up into the fall. There is still overhead risk in the U.S. sector due to, the uncertainty of the political environment and potential, crackdown coming. That's always worried. People are always concerned about that. But at this point, the Canadian MJ sector looks great. There is no sign of any weakness, no increasing bear volume, anything like that. I'm going to be keeping an eye out for it. But as of right now, it's still full systems go for these bulls. And we'll see which direction we break these inside bars on Monday. I appreciate you watching. We'll continue to check back in on the weekends. Have a great Sunday, Saturday, every day.